Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of Illogically Speaking. It's your host, the logical lady Jossie, with my wonderful co-host, Big G. How's it going, fella, with the haircut? Look at that. Schoolboy there. What do you say, 10
Smooth
years old?
today. Hey man, took 10 years off me. Took 10
You had
years off me.
one of those emotional moments as women have. I just can't take it anymore. Cut my hair.
Yeah, I literally just woke up and was like, you know what, I'm done.
You know
I'm
they say
done.
women after a breakup, they often like change their looks, cut their hair, change it drastically as an emotional cleansing. Was this some kind of cleansing, or you just was like, nah, I'm over this hair right now?
I was just over it. Like,
No
I'm just
emotional
over
here.
it.
Nothing emotional going on. Of course not.
Nah,
Um,
hell no.
so it's a tough week. Let me just go ahead and start by saying rest in peace to my beautiful niece Mimi. She passed yesterday from sickle cell, 17 years old. Terrible bout with it through her whole life, but she's resting peacefully now. So I'm getting through it today with the help of my wonderful co-host here, my wonderful listeners. So we just
Send
gonna
all
jump
our
into.
prayers.
Thank you. We just gonna jump into the big story this week. Well, I guess Friday. Your boy, no, was it Thursday night? Your boy Tory Lanez dropped his album. Well, first he dropped what was it, a tweet? I believe it was Twitter. I don't know if it was Twitter or Instagram, saying I got a lot to say. I've been quiet, but I got something to say. Y'all here tonight at 9:00. So people were thinking that he was going to make like a video or like he was going to do an interview. So they were expecting to be able to, get the one-on-one of what happened, but instead he dropped an album. Some people were not too thrilled about the way that it went, because I guess he addressed the Megan Thee Stallion situation on the album, and a couple of tracks, and people were not happy with that. Basically, he did deny that he shot her, but it was still very cryptic to me. It never really still said what happened again, and I think that's the problem. People are so nosy; they just want to know what happened. Like, we still never really got okay, she said he shot her. Okay, but she never really said the details of how he shot her, why he shot her, anything like that. And I think that's what people are wanting so much. That's half of the problem, but they're just like, he shouldn't have addressed it there. And then it turned into a thing of Black women not being protected because Rick Ross jumped in.
All people now. Of all people.
Of all people. Yeah, the guy that had strippers on his verses, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah,
who else? I think it was Bun B chimed in, and they all had something to say basically about him addressing it the way he did, and basically what he said. I guess he didn't say what they wanted him to say and how they wanted him to say it. What's your thoughts on the whole situation?
Just what you just said. Everybody who, and the funny part is the people who have the most comments about it didn't even listen to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's if I can say, most disappointing part of it was the fact that people who didn't even listen to it, they just dismissed it. Oh, I'm not listening to that. I don't want to hear anything he has to say. That came across to me like you don't want to really come to an understanding of what may have happened. You already got your mind made up. For you, he shot her. You know what I'm saying? So, and to me, if you trying to find out the true story of what happened, or you trying to find out real information, it would behoove you to listen to both sides, maybe, instead of taking. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So that's what was so surprising to me, the way people just was like, no, he shot her, and that's it. Did he say he shot her? And then other people was like, no, that's not what they said.
Yeah.
Well, if he didn't say he shot her, then I ain't listening. Oh, so you know what I'm saying? That was weird to me.
This isn't the first, I guess, song, album, or whatever, where an artist has come out and basically used song to speak their piece. R. Kelly did a whole, I think, like a 15-minute crazy ass song.
Right.
All his, like, everything laid out. I'm illiterate. I was touched. I like this. Like, yeah, he did a whole song with that, and it didn't bother people as much. I think people are just, like I said, wanting to know the details of what happened. Like, even if he said, yeah, I shot her, that wouldn't have been enough. Even if in the song he would have been like, yeah, I bust at her. But of course he's not going to do that because it's criminal. But people want to know how it happened, what happened, like why he shot her. Did she shoot? Did she punch him first? Like, it's been so many stories. I've heard probably at least 6 or 7 different instances of what could have possibly happened and what happened. So it's just people are nosy at this point. I don't know what this has to do with the protection of Black women.
Because they pushing that narrative. They have a narrative to push behind that. And what happened was men were being challenged to step up. Because most men was looking at it like, oh, well, what she did. But you can't say that.
I don't know. Most guys that I know when it first came out, they were like, dog, you shot a woman in her foot, like on her feet. No, twice, I think. Yeah, you shot a woman in her feet. Like, most guys were like, dog, you bugging. Like, that's crazy.
But I guess I'm a rational human being who asks questions like,
what would be a reason for you to shoot a woman in her feet, dog?
Right. Like, I want to, like, bro, did you shoot her in her foot? Like, but why though? You know what I'm saying? I'm just a person who I gotta hear dating. Like, story.
He's like 5'6", she's like 6 feet. Like, you ain't got no choice but to shoot her.
That man said he 5'7". Y'all gonna Torres said he 5'7". Y'all gonna respect that.
No, where's Timberland?
Oh, he gonna stop talking about his height
with that big head or whatever. But I mean,
yeah, it's just
wanted more than what he wanted to give, and you can't tell that man on his term how he should say anything, what he should say. And again, this is still a criminal case
investigation.
So you have to be very careful with the things that you say in public, on camera, however you say it, because they can and will be used against you at some point.
Right. And that's why he spoke in the way that he spoke. He used his art form. He just uses. Some people just feel more comfortable doing it that way. And for a lot of people, it was sufficient for a lot of people. For a lot of people who actually went and listened to his album, they was like, okay, I get it. I don't understand everything, but I understand what you're trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Thinking people know what he's trying to allude to. Those who know, and those who don't want to know ain't gonna know. So, you know what I'm saying? He alluded to what he wanted people to know. And if you're a thinking person, you can kind of pull it together to understand what he's saying. Like, okay, because he set the situation up for what happened. So it's not like he didn't, you know what I'm saying? He left everything so vague. He set up the situation up to the point that the incident happened. So, and then he flat out said, I ain't shoot her. So I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. And if I'm listening to both sides of the story, then, and you ask me what I think happened, then that's a whole different story. But
exactly. I think everyone has their own thing of what they think happened. Like I said, I've heard everything from she was abusing him to he shot at the ground and it was like shots. It wasn't even him that was shooting. I heard it was a girlfriend that was shooting. I've heard everything. So at this point, if it's not going to court, if it's not being investigated and no jury's deciding, I really at this point don't care, because Megan doesn't seem to care if anything happens to him criminally or whatever. So I'm over it. But I just didn't get the part about Black women not being protected. What did that have to do with? They're throwing that little tidbit on top of too many things right now. And then now what's going to happen is it's going to weaken the whole purpose of people saying that. Like, when you throw it on top of everything,
it's like it cheapens it now. Now you have a cheap, like, that doesn't mean anything, because you always gonna have me like myself to ask you, what does that mean?
Exactly. And then you can't tell me. But so anywho, well, we're talking about titles and things today. So that's today's topic. We're talking about titles and relationships, whether it be dating, courting, boyfriend and girlfriend, marriage, proposals, all of that stuff. So we're just talking about titles and relationships as it pertains to people our age. Because I know when I was younger, it was a whole lot different, and it was a whole lot easier. I think it was easier back then to just say, that's my girlfriend, that's my boyfriend, or I like you, do you like me? Can we go together? Or I remember guys literally asking, can I have a chance? Like, that's how boys used to ask you, they be your boyfriend? Like, can I have a chance? So it was defined that was your boyfriend. I think now I wish a guy would at 40 something years old be like, so you want to be my girlfriend? Like, how does that?
We just riding this wave.
How does it? I just find that most relationships, even the ones that I've been in, you kind of just fall into them, and you just know. But then it falls on the thing of you may be assuming though too, because you don't ask, you don't have those conversations. I know for me, my last 2 relationships, I found out I was their quote unquote girlfriend by the way they introduced me. Like, because we were doing boyfriend and girlfriend stuff for months or whatever, and or whatever long it was, and it just seemed like natural, but it was never established that we're a couple, but we knew. But then it was time to introduce me to somebody, and it's like, yeah, this is my girl or whatever, blah blah blah. And that's just kind of how I found out that I was his girl. Like, he just introduced me as his girl. It was never no, so do you want to do this and do that? And I think that's part of the problem. A lot of times we don't have those conversations to determine where we are in relationships.
Because it ruins moments. To have that conversation can ruin a moment, because now we have to fulfill some kind of stupid ass expectation of what a girlfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes ridiculous. And for men, we try to avoid that for as long as we can until we put in a situation where we ain't got no choice but to, yeah. Because now, like you said, it changes the dynamics of relationships.
Absolutely. When I tell you, if it almost feels like it's more pressure.
Right.
Like, I get it in both senses. Like I explained it before, like it's kind of like a temp job where you're doing the exact same work, you're doing all the things. On one hand, I understand where how long do you want to work a temp job without reaping any of the benefits of being an actual employee? But the flip side is, well, what if I don't want to be at this place long term? What if I haven't determined if I like this place long enough? Right, what if I do enjoy being a temp? So it's kind of the flip side on both. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm putting in all the work, I'm doing all the things of being a girlfriend, but I'm not getting a girlfriend. Like, I'm not getting the benefits. And I'm like, I still don't know what the benefits of a girlfriend is, besides them quote unquote supposed to be monogamous. Other than that, what this is exactly supposed to be monogamous. So at that point, what's the point of having a boyfriend if you're not? Like, I go from dating to marriage. That's what I want to do. I want to be like, go from just we're dating, having fun, to you propose to me one day. Like, I don't want to be somebody's girlfriend. I just don't know how I feel about that. It puts way too much pressure. It takes the fun out of a lot of things.
Right. It takes, because now you got to be responsible for somebody's feelings.
Yes.
You have to, like, you are obligated to their emotions. And even when y'all dating or whatever, it's understood. I ain't got to care about how you feel right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, your independence isn't threatened when you're dating. But soon as you put a girlfriend, boyfriend title on something, it's like it's a restriction. Now we're going into what we're doing right now. We're finna test drive marriage. Yeah, that's what we're basically doing. We're finna test drive marriage right now. And man, that again, that pressure come. That pressure come. But then, who is the pressure coming from? That's, you know what I'm saying. Like, if it's coming, in a
lot of cases,
right?
In a lot of cases, which I find people have great things going on in relationships, and you have outside people telling them what they should be doing. Or even if it's dating, well, what you mean? He's still seeing other girls or whatever. That's cool. That works for us. Or you've been dating, you're being together for 6 years. What, he hasn't proposed yet? Y'all been together 6 years. I think other people tend to have way too much bearing on what we think we should do in relationships. And that also fucks up a lot of relationships.
Right. What people think, society, just the culture of things.
I literally had a guy tell me, I'm not looking for nothing right now. I got way too much going on to be, because being in a relationship does take some attention, some focus. And
absolutely.
And he's trying to build, a couple brands and some things like that. He's like, I just can't, I don't have the energy to put into a full-fledged relationship. But the funny part is, everything was like a relationship. Like, to me, that conversation almost threw a monkey wrench in things, because we were progressing beautifully to me. Like, it was just like, I like where we are. I don't question you about females. You don't question me about males. We don't go searching for stuff. We have a definite respect for one another when we're around and when we're not. And I think that's what a lot of people miss out on. They're like, well, he can do whatever he wants and blah, blah, blah. No, but you can still have these situationships and still be very respectful and very, there can be emotions there. You can very much care for someone without saying that this is my girl or whatever, or this is my guy. And I think that a lot of it, people just don't, they feel like they're missing out on something, but I'm like, what are you actually missing out on? what is it? Yeah.
Control. Once you put a title on somebody, that
Mhm.
instantly controls their behavior.
Whew.
It instantly changes their behavior. When you say you're my boyfriend now I got to put the lock on my phone.
Yeah.
Now I got to do certain things now.
Sure
Now
way.
I have to do these things because you just put a label on me that comes with certain responsibilities. So now it's a control thing. When you have two individuals that don't want to control each other, but just want to genuinely just
Enjoy each
enjoy
other.
each other's time, then
Mhm.
that's a whole different thing. They don't never call it nothing because they both don't want it to stop because both of them understand that when you have two honest individuals, they just going whatever happens.
Mhm.
And if it's supposed to happen, it's gonna
It's
happen
gonna
like that.
happen. Exactly.
And
I come from very unique situations. So my grandparents divorced, or they separated. They were back then. They never legally said that divorced. Okay,
right,
they separated back in like at that point. I think it was like the 60s or some 50s or 60s, like a long time ago.
mhm,
So my grandmother had a long time boyfriend, for lack of better words. But you got to think they were together since the 60s. I was born in 78.
mhm,
So that's my grandfather. You know what I'm saying? I knew my biological grandfather, but the one that my grandmother lived with was my grandfather. Like, cause
right,
that's the one that I was the closest to, that I was around all my life. And they were together for 40 something years before he passed. And what I found out when he died was a lot of the reason they didn't get married was financial. My grandmother was still getting her stuff from my biological grandfather. They never got a divorce for that reason. He was in the military, so she was getting all his military benefits and all that stuff. So they never got they didn't dislike each other. They just couldn't be married. So they stayed together on paper for financial reasons. And then also when my grandmother and her boyfriend, they didn't get married. So when they did pass, her kids would get her stuff, his kids would get his stuff. There's
mhm,
no big hoopla about who
right,
gets what and her getting stuff and his kids not being left out and things like that. And you couldn't tell me that they didn't love each other like nobody's business. Like that was his wife. Like if anybody,
right.
if he spoke about his grandchildren, my sister, like me, my sister, my brothers, and we were all included as his grandkids. You know what I mean? So it was just one of those things of, it was just the title to me. To them, it was just a piece of paper because they already knew what they had. They knew what it was.
Right,
If anybody asked, that was his wife. You know what I mean? But
right.
it wasn't, to them, it wasn't that important. And then my mom growing up, again, my mother and father never divorced because they were lazy. Um, but my mom was in a relationship with someone for 20 plus years, never got married. And guess what? They're not together. So it kind of worked out better. You know what I mean? Like, shit, had she went down the aisle and got married, you'd have to go through another divorce or whatever. Like, it works for them. So I guess that's kind of why I'm in a place where titles don't really mean that bit as much to me as a lot of people. Like, I can see both sides of it. Like, my sister's happily married,
Right.
but to me, it's not a big deal to be like, this is my boyfriend. This is, oh, we need to define what, you will never hear me ask those horrible three words. What are we? That's,
Right.
to me, I just, if I have to ask, then we probably aren't what I think we are.
Because in some relationships, it's not business.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a business relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Um, if he's paying the bills or doing whatever for him or acting as a husband, then it's out of the generosity, love of his heart. It's not out of no due responsibility because of this paper says that I'm supposed to do this shit. So when
Isn't that
people
lighter for
understand,
you guys though? Isn't that easier for
right,
you to know that you don't have to?
right, right. But that piece of paper binds us to something.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? It makes it harder for us to leave. It
Mm-hmm.
makes it harder for everybody to walk away now. So when
Mm-hmm.
you have, because it's a business arrangement, it's bigger than how I feel about you. Now it's about all of these assets, these liabilities, and all of these things come into play now because we made this business arrangement to become actual husband and wife. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if we have a long-term relationship, we still have the same feelings there. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? So when it's time that neither one of us has these feelings anymore, wouldn't it make sense for us not to have this paper binding us to divide all
Just
this
walk
shit and us
away
saying,
and go.
you know what I'm saying?
But now they
So
have things like, what is it, palimony in California, where if you're in a certain long-term relationship and financials are involved. You have to pay your ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend money because you guys break up. It's just too much. I think
That
financial.
shit, right. Relationship, breaking
Way
up from a relationship shouldn't cost you money. Like leaving somebody shouldn't cost you money. We should be both adult enough to assume whatever risk that this relationship brings to both of us. You know what I'm saying? We should be adult enough to handle that. And then it saves you from getting into what it's doing in the long run. It's gonna make dating harder. It's gonna make commitment harder. It's gonna make, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, why would I get into this? And I'm still like, palimony is crazy to me. You're still literally testing the waters. You've decided that this is not the person that I want to marry right now.
Right.
But you got to pay if you leave. Like that's a little much.
It's insane.
It is, but they have like I believe Maryland is a common law marriage state. So I think after 4 years or something like that of living together, is it 4 or 10? It's one of those two. I don't know. I know it's a big difference, but you are basically entitled to pretty much anything that a spouse is entitled to. And
that's weird. Like,
because we've literally decided that we don't want to be married, but we are now. Reason. Right. That's probably part of the reason. Or you're still trying to test out if this is for you. And it may take long. People are like, it shouldn't take you 10 years. Why not? I've changed tremendously in 10 years. I'm definitely not the same person I was 10 years ago. So I can imagine someone waking up and being like, this ain't the bitch that I got with, because I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. So why should we be bound to these things? Why should we be held to, we have to stay here, we have to do this? It almost feels like it's gunpoint. Like if I leave, there goes 60% of my own. That's crazy.
And traditionally, this is what affects men, because men are the ones who traditional. I'm just speaking traditionally. Yeah, we have our one-offs of the marriage obliges or whatnot, but generally and traditionally, it's men that suffer from these things. So it's almost, for men, it's making men say, I don't want long-term commitment, especially a man who is, like you stated earlier, you was talking about how he was saying that he was too focused on his brand, on building. When you have a driven man, a focused man, he's going to look at the consequences and the rewards of relationships.
Absolutely.
And what I just want to tell women, what you don't want men doing is judging relationships on consequences and rewards. You don't want men to look at relationships like that.
Outweigh the rewards ultimately.
Right. Because a man's going to
when you start putting them on that scale.
You know what I'm saying? When you have to weigh what his time means to him, what his attention means to him, and all of these things that you require, his money means to him, his resources mean, or the threat of losing all of those things to you in the event of a breakup. And if he has to weigh all of these things based upon his past behavior, then y'all gonna start losing.
I mean, it's like,
or maybe y'all gonna be winning, depending how you want to look at it. Maybe women don't want that. I don't know.
I think like titles definitely change things in relationships. Like we said, you have to be more aware of certain things, and it requires a lot more attention and a lot more nurturing than a regular situationship. You got to do the call every day and text before you go to bed, and if you hang out, let me know when you got in, and I'm cool with that, but I don't want to be locked into knowing I have to do it. Like I do it just on a general, like I dig you, good morning, whatever level. But if I skip a day, I don't want the, oh, you out here hoeing type shit. You know what I mean?
So like, for me,
go ahead.
I'm introspective. I spend a lot of time thinking. So I'm absent-minded about small shit a lot of times. Yeah. So me not texting good morning, me not asking how your day was, has absolutely nothing to do with you as a woman or as my woman. Yeah, it has nothing to do with how I feel about you. It's just that my mind is constantly thinking about the other things at the time. Yeah. So it's not personal. So don't make it like it's personal, but at the same time, I don't want to be obligated to those things. Like that seems like now, if I don't do these things, I'm gonna have to suffer some kind of consequence for it. I'm not with that.
Yeah,
I'm not with that.
I should just like it's funny because most of the things that we do before we get in a relationship, in most cases, are the things that we want to continue doing. Want our mate to continue doing when we get in a relationship, but that just usually isn't the case, and then that's where the disappointment comes in.
Right.
I think we talked about before that euphoric stage that when you first meet somebody, things butterflies and rainbows and it's beautiful, and just it's going to come a time where it's not like that. And regardless if you're in a relationship or not, it's just going to change. Something is going to change. And I think when you're in a relationship, it puts a microscope on why it's changing. What are you doing? Why you don't like me anymore? Or just it's too much. Like just relax.
Because it's not that anything has necessarily changed. In most cases, this person has been on earth 20, 30, 40 years before you met this person.
Yeah.
They have a lot of things they have accumulated over their lifetime that you just don't know the fuck about.
And they were giving you extra attention. They made time at the point for you to be in this box. They made have put this to that moment to make time to get to know you and things like that.
Right. So as time progresses, you start to see all of those little things this person had. All of those 20, 30 years of history that has accumulated, you start to see now. They start to come out now. They start to inch by inch because they're comfortable being around you now. So now they can unloosen their belt and let the gut go. And they can breathe now. And become their real selves.
Yeah,
so now it's not that nothing has necessarily changed. It's just like now you like, oh, that's who you really is.
Really.
I tell people this. You can't know somebody who's 30, 35, 40 years in 4 years.
No.
You can't do that. In 4 years, you can't tell me you can cover everything in their life and know everything about them and feel comfortable saying, you know what? I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with you. You can't feel comfortable. That's a gamble.
It's like a job. Like, trust me, when you first start your job, oh, you there every day on time. Your clothes probably iron. You probably pack your little lunch. You probably take exactly 59-minute lunch break. Like you're perfect for the first however long. And then slowly it's little things. And then you start taking an hour and 5 minutes lunch. And then you start coming in at 8:10. And then you start leaving at 4:55, and then you just not coming in on Tuesdays at all. And then you just, it's kind of because you're comfortable and you just slowly peeling off that, like you said, you're breathing. You can unbuckle your belt a little bit. And I think that's what happens in relationships. Whereas in these situationships, you just riding a ride a lot of times. There's no expectation. Well, there's certain expectation. I think again, people get it mixed up as to, they say in situationships there's no respect and they're doing this, that, and the third. No, there's understanding. Like I understand that you are doing you, and when I'm around, I know nothing about nothing else that's going on in your life as far as other females or whatever else you're doing out there. When I'm around, it's 100% about me. I'm not going to go look for what you did Tuesday because that has nothing to do with me. I'm cool with that. Like I'm here Thursday. This is my day. And it's literally, I feel like the queen, the princess of the day. Like I feel like you're boo for that day. And I'm cool with that. Like I have no problems with it because I'm not losing anything out of it. I'm not missing anything out. If I don't know about it, I don't care about it. Now, if you're that disrespectful dude, that's like, yeah, when I call you Tuesday, you're like, yeah, I got my girl over, or I got such and such over here. Like, no, just don't even answer the phone if I call you. Like, it's that type of shit. Like, or just make them call you back. Like, I don't want to know the details of, oh, I got company. No, don't tell me that shit. And I think again, people just feel like that situationships are this horrible thing. I was in a situationship for 12 years of it, from the time I was 16 until I was like 28 or so. And we were an amazing situationship. Like it was the best, probably one of my favorite relationships I've ever had. But we tried to put a title on it about 4 years in. That shit lasted literally 3 weeks. We were like, what the fuck are we doing? This is not us. This doesn't even feel right. It felt like it was trying to put a necktie on like Old Dirty Bastard. Like we like ODB out here fun and he's enjoying his life. He's living. And you try to put a necktie on him. You're like, this doesn't even feel right. This is not who he is. This is not who it just didn't feel right to us. So we took that necktie off, put that shit around our head and went back to doing us. And we had a ball for another 8 years.
I want to interrupt you real quick, man.
Yeah.
Ray Rick said this is not a real debate. You are presenting the same point of view and making folks who don't shit that out to be crazy.
Oh,
Y'all
well, true.
are.
They are. It's
Y'all
simple.
are, man.
I mean, I get it. No, because I'm gonna go into this. So do you think titles are just for women in relationships for the most part? Do guys want titles? Do
Oh
you
man.
guys be like, I
Yes,
want her to call me
eventually.
her man?
Eventually, yes. Yes, eventually. We do.
Just not
We
as
do.
fast as women.
Just not as fast as women. Just not as
So
fast as women.
with that
But
being
because
said, go
because
ahead.
we'll like y'all said, we'll do everything that a boyfriend is supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. But
Everything.
we that like you go back to what Bow Wow was saying.
I'm gonna read that.
Me and low key understood that shit, but
Yeah.
we can't say it out loud though. We can't say it out loud
So
because
speaking
we're
of that,
gonna
let me just
offend
read the
women.
quote real quick before you go too far into that. It said, this is a quote from Bow Wow, apparently. He tweeted it. I mean, his IG. He said, I don't want a relationship. They hold you back. I want a best friend I can sleep with, make love to, hustle with, get money with, travel with, shop with, club with, and live life with. I want a partner in crime, a life partner, someone I can laugh with and build with, a woman I am not afraid to lose because I know they'll always be there. Relationships are played out, but a partnership I'll take. So there are a lot of people, like women were like, oh, he wants his cake and eat it too. And because another person responded at the end of that, and that their reply was, being facetious or whatever. She said, I don't want a salad. I just want lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, shredded carrots, a little boiled egg, and Italian vinaigrette. Salads are overrated, but a shredded vegetable medley I'll take. So basically saying you want the same thing, but just calling it something different. Again, it's the pressure of it. It's not the same as a salad. Of course, I mean, it's a salad still, if you want to get technical about it, but the expectations aren't the same.
Right.
If you eat lettuce over here, tomatoes, carrots, and all of that shit separately, it's not a salad. So you could have shredded lettuce right here on your plate, some tomato right here on your plate, some carrot over here, some boiled egg over here. That's not a salad. That's a bunch of fucking vegetables on a plate.
Right.
It's the same thing as in a salad, but it's just presented differently.
Right. And see what it is when I hear people say shit like that, I just hear control. I don't want control over anybody's life to the point that it strains our relationship.
Yeah. And that's
you know what I'm saying? Because we do have a relationship going in a sense, because a partnership is a form of a relationship.
Absolutely. And that's what everyone misses.
You know what I'm saying? People love titles. It makes them feel important. It makes you
gives them security.
Right. It puts everything in its place.
Yeah.
It gives you a place. It gives you somewhere that you fit into. You understand? So I get that part of it. But for people like myself who I just love you, but that don't mean we got to do all this goofy shit of what you doing. But you said as a girlfriend, that shit gets goofy after a while. Like
it's a little different. I mean, we're 30s and 40s or whatever. So you're not asking anyone to be your girlfriend, right? Like you're not saying, so do you want to be my girlfriend? Can I have a chance? Basically, you kind of know what it is. Like, again, so how do you know that someone is your girlfriend? Like, how do you know that this is it? Usually it takes, I know in a lot of cases, it takes conflict to find out that you all are even together. It takes some shit happening, like some chick calling or whatever reason to even find out that you guys are together and that you have to explain yourself to her or she has to explain herself to you.
See, and that's what when you put that title on somebody, you owe them that explanation.
Right. But a lot of times in these situationships, they just kind of happen. You get to that place after a while. You're not going to keep just sitting listening to this dude lie about whatever. So you catch him in a lie. And you're like, so where were you last night? And then that's how it starts. And then he's like, well, baby, it's only about you. And then next thing you know, you're in a relationship. Like, I don't know how we get into relationships at our age. Like I said, I just found out I was somebody's girlfriend because the way he introduced me to people. Like, I remember going to a family function with my ex. And this is probably our first or second date, literally. And he took me to like a family cookout or whatever. And they're like, are you his girlfriend? I'm like, no, that's my friend. So a week later, we go to another family function. I told you was his girlfriend. I'm like, y'all funny. And then we go to another family thing and he's like, that's my girl or whatever. And I'm like, oh, Okay, like I had no idea because I don't know. Again, how do you find out you're in a relationship nowadays at our age? In high school, it was easy, like as you want somebody to be your girlfriend. But now, how do you usually find out that you're in a relationship?
I mean, like I said, it's people out there, even though we call it crazy or whatever, where a man knows when he wants to lock a woman down.
Mm-hmm.
That because for most part, that's what on both sides it is. A woman wants to lock a man in, and a man wants to lock a woman in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's us saying we don't want nobody else to touch you.
That's basically all it is.
That's all it is. It's simple as that. When we
That's the
say,
only reason I can think a guy wanting to be in a relationship. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense for a
yeah,
guy. Other than him wanting to have it by himself. Yeah, other than him having, sorry, you're my super producer's chiming in right now. Other than him basically having her to himself, what are the benefits of a guy having a relationship with a title? Like to say I'm her man. Like I think you're putting more responsibility on yourself at that point, because
right.
ultimately God determine who you're in who gets the title. We just want to be chose. Y'all do the choosing. Like that's ultimately what it is.
Right.
Let's keep it funky. Like let's be honest. We want to be chose. You guys do the choosing. So if it's nothing in it for you, why do you choose women? Why do you want to be in a relationship? Basically, just to lock her down, just to say that nobody else can get it. That's real selfish. Ew.
That's what it is, though. That's
Ew.
what it is. Like for the most part, men want to secure their their right to procreate with just you. That well, the other way around. They want to secure the right for you to only procreate with them. They don't want to say that shit, but that's what it comes down to. Don't nobody, they just want you to themselves. That's what it's most about. I mean, it's both ways too. Women want the same thing. That's why they want to get in a relationship. They want a man to belong to them. So that's what it comes down to. So at the end of the day, it's just like relationships are just there to control behavior. It's an agreement. It's a contract saying, I ain't gonna do this, you ain't gonna do that. So that's what it is, right? Those are the confines of how we gonna deal with each other. Well, what it is with a partnership, it is when we come together, this is what we do. And when we're not together, your business is your business, my business is my business.
And keep your business out of my business, which means people are like, he out there just screwing everybody and everything. Okay, protect yourself. Don't bring no extra babies into this situation at this moment, because I'm not trying to do, or I'll leave because I'll let you have your family. There's just certain things like people act like that's the worst thing in the world, but literally I'm reaping all the benefits. I get the dates, I get the morning phone calls, I get taken care of very well.
Because it always feels fresh. Because y'all not spending so much time. It's not a force where y'all forced to spend time together because of these titles. Now, these titles obligate you to spend X amount of hours a week with each other. Otherwise, someone is not happy in it. And now
or it changes. Yeah, that one.
Right
if you're
now,
4 days and you only get 3 this week. Oh my God! What you was out here with Keisha or Becky or whomever else it was, or Daquan,
and what you and the benefit of a situationship is it allows you to be busy with life. It allows you to go 3 or 4 days without necessarily having deep conversations with each other. And then on the 4th day, be like, you must have been busy all week. Yeah, work was running me crazy. It allows you that space to miss each other. Where in the relationship is, well, why you ain't call me last night by 7? You say you were gonna be home at 7. Now, okay, these restrictions and these controls again come into play. Where in a situationship or a partnership, it's understood that, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't think people trust each other enough for them to do the right thing enough. So they think that putting titles on them is.
Bring your camera. There you go.
Oh, my bad.
That's okay. All right. So to play devil's advocate and revert back to my guy Ray said. So, and I touched on it a little bit. Like, as a temp, would you want to stay a temp somewhere for 5 years with you're just literally collecting a paycheck? You're not getting any of the company benefits. You don't get the Christmas bonus check, although I had some bomb temp jobs that had some bomb benefits, but that's a whole nother story. But would you want to stay somewhere as a temp where you're literally just going in, working and getting your paycheck every week, where you're not getting the pension, the 401k, you're not getting those other benefits that come along with being a full-time hired employee? Why would you stay as a temp when you can go somewhere else and get hired tomorrow and get all these benefits? what would be in someone's best interest to stay a temp? Like if you're not getting any benefit, or
I mean,
most of
if
the
you're not getting any benefit, then of course. But let's say you are getting certain benefits from it, where you're not required to come into work all the time. You can come in, but you're not required to. It's a
you work
temp. It's a temp job. Yeah, you work. You know what I'm saying? What if the supervisors didn't hound you all day like they rolled the actual employees? What if you were allowed to, instead of 2 15-minute breaks, you got a third one, and he couldn't say nothing to you? You're a temp. So let's say there are some perks
and you
into
work
it.
for your company. Yeah. It's,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
or I mean, just in relationships though. Why? So I had a conversation with a guy friend of mine. He got married. It'll be 2 years in December. He got married almost 2 years ago. And he said, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. He said, I'm not gonna lie. He was like, this marriage shit changed everything. He was like, if I would have known, he said, we would have stayed living our life. I said, well, who wants to be someone's special friend in the obituary? Who wants to invest 20 years into someone and say he dies and you get nothing, or you got to fight with his family to even get a name in the obituary or get in the family card, but you are the one that wiped his ass when he was sick, or cooked for him every day, ironed his clothes, did his taxes, made his doctor's appointments. You did all of that shit that his mom did the first 18 years of his life. You've done it for another 20 years and now you have nothing to show for it. What would be the benefit of that? And he said, first of all, he was like, if it's somebody that I care for that much, and if I'm with them that much, he was like, they're going to be taken care of. He was like, I can get an insurance policy on anyone. I don't have to be their spouse. He was like, I would definitely have them taken care of if it's someone that means something to me. So I think a lot of marriage, and when he said that, it did say something like, a lot of marriage, yes, I do want to be with this person, but marriage is just people really trying to secure the bag for later on.
Right. That's what it was created to do. Like, I'm not mad at women for getting into marriages for what they are supposed to get into marriages for. Marriages were created to make sure that women and children are taken care of, because they didn't have the resources to take care of themselves at first. So I'm not mad at that. That's the tradition of marriage. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying? But for those who don't want the tradition of marriage and they go outside of that tradition, men will always take care of the people that they love if they are to pass. I mean, they are going to do that, whether they have a piece of paper obligating them to it or not. They're always going to make sure that their loved ones are always taken care of, the ones that they truly love. So for that to be used, that's a scare tactic. That's a, girl, you better get that ring. You don't know he died, girl, you ain't gonna get nothing.
Yeah.
So that's a scare tactic, because you don't hear men speak like that. Men don't say, boy, you better marry that woman. She died. You ain't gonna get nothing. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear that. So when I hear things, so I can't be mad at a woman for getting into a marriage for what it is designed, or for what it was designed for them to get into it for. You know what I'm saying? But for men, they have to be more cognizant of that. Like, we always gonna take care of those who matter to us. If we ain't take care of you like that, then
you know who you are. It's like, nowadays there's so many new titles in dating and relationships. It's ridiculous. There's the meeting phase, the courting phase, the dating phase. I don't know that like, dating to me has too many different broad terms. Like, I can say I'm dating this guy, and that literally means we go out to eat twice a week and nothing more, nothing less. Literally just go for food. We go on dates. That's dating. But I can also say I'm dating this guy. We're sleeping with each other. We're dating. We're kissing, loving, hugging each other. We think it's exclusive and all that good stuff. So it's like, again, short of marriage and engagement, where is the line of what are we doing? Like, what are the who wakes up one day and just says, yep, we're dating, like, or we're courting, or we're no longer courting, or we're just like, where do these lines change at what point?
You only have to explain that shit when you're explaining it to somebody else. You only have to define it rather when you're explaining it to somebody else.
No,
when y'all talking amongst each other.
When the woman comes and says, what are we doing? Or what are we?
Because pressure. She getting that pressure from somebody else. Women, if women don't want to rock the boat no more than men do, man. Again, if it is that, it's them trying to secure something. It's them trying to, like you said, they trying to secure a spot. They trying to secure a place that they think hold that you would value. They think that you would value a position more than you value her. You understand? Like men value people. It doesn't matter if y'all are dating. If he cares about you, he's not going to mess with anybody. He's not going to cheat. He's not going to disrespect you. He's not going to do any of those things if it's not his character to do those things.
Right. I think people have that misconception too, that if you are not locked down, or if you're not quote unquote in a relationship, that you guys are just running around screwing and doing whatever with everyone. And you can definitely still be unspoken monogamous. To me, that's what I call it. I call it unspoken monogamous.
Absolutely.
We don't even talk about it. Like, I'm not sleeping with anyone, you're not sleeping with anyone, and it is what it is. But just as you can be in relationships and be having multiple relationships on the side. So that's why I'm like, what's so big about a title? You want to be able to say I'm the main girl? Like, what's the big deal? Like, how about being more pressed to say I'm the only girl, if that's the point? Like, don't tell me about I'm his main chick. Like, what kind of dumb shit is that? Like, who really wants to be the main chick? Like, you're basically saying, I know that there's plenty other bitches out here, but I'm the main one. What the fuck other benefit are you getting? You go eat his mom's pie. Like, who cares? The shit's probably nasty anyway. Like, I don't care.
People love positions and titles. It makes it seem like they fit into a space nobody else can fit into. So it's special. That space is special. It's entitled to me and me only, meaning I have certain benefits that y'all ain't got. That's what she's saying.
Still on the live feed? Are you still on the live feed? Any?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Any comments or questions there?
Yeah, let me read Andre Smooth. He said, I think that possessive mentality has to be broken for men and women.
Yeah.
John, marriage is not the only way to show people you care and love them.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Right.
Like I said, my grandparents were never married, and you couldn't tell me that she was not the apple of his eye and he was not the apple of her eye. It's just one of those.
Probably couldn't ask them what they were. You couldn't ask them what they were. What y'all are?
That's my baby.
See what I'm saying?
That's my baby.
Endearment.
That's my baby.
You put titles on things, and this is just speaking of what Andre Smooth said, ownership history of our country. You put titles on shit you own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You get titles to shit you own. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what titles are for. So I don't want to own a human being. I don't want that burden. I don't want that burden to have to own a human being.
Y'all definitely do. You don't want to know some other dude is jumping up and down at your chick that you like really digging right now. Like,
but again, it goes down to respect. Respect. If she respect me enough, that's not gonna happen. Not even in a situationship, ain't gonna happen. If she got a certain amount of respect for you, but again, if she ain't got no respect for me, I don't care what I call a wife, girlfriend, main chick. It don't matter. She gonna do what she do.
Like I was in a 3-year relationship, and this nigga used to refer to me as his wife. Like, it was just, oh, that's my wife. That's my wife. Like, it was no biggie to me. That nigga ain't had no money. That's the one that had the gambling problem. So it wasn't like I was reaping any benefit to rushing to the altar to get anything. It would have just literally been because at that time it'd have been the right thing to do, because you've been together and living together for 3 years, and it's naturally the next step. According to society. But for us, we were not ready to be married. Again, we were not happy with each other. We had outgrown each other, and people do that all the time. So why are we in such a big rush to get into these relationships? I get it that you kind of want to take the person off the market, or you basically want to say, I'm the only one with this. But in most cases, not in most, in a lot of cases in relationships, you're not going to be the only one then. So what difference does it make?
Because people won't, and they following old traditions in a modern world. You know what I'm saying? This is a modern world where those old traditions don't fit no more. Like, the conditions that those old traditions were started under don't exist now at all. None of those conditions. Or I say most of those conditions. So with that being said, we have to redefine how relationships work now. I mean, and we have to do that just to make sure that the community doesn't break down and just totally devolve into dysfunction. Like, we have to define how we gonna operate as man, woman, and eventually family, however we fucking define those terms, but we have to define them at some point, because right now we keep trying to fit something old into a modern world that doesn't fit right.
I was going to ask now, when you start talking children involved, is it necessary to be, what's more important, to be married and present a married front for your children and have a marriage, or to have two parents that care about this kid in the house? Like it.
Two parents.
Absolutely.
Two parents. Two parents.
Yeah.
You got to have, and it's not necessarily that they have to be in the same house, but y'all have to have an agreement on how y'all gonna raise this child together. That's what I'm just big on. Adult people having some kind of common term on how we gonna raise these kids that the kid can't exploit or manipulate. We got to have that.
Can't say daddy did this and mama said that, and yeah.
Right. We got to have some kind of common agreement and culture with how we gonna raise these kids. What we both not gonna do in the house, what we both not gonna say when the kids around. Like we got to have that kind of agreement. But for the most part, having two parents in a household is more important than whether or not they're married or not. Just them cohabitating together, showing just a unit of two people together. That's just.
You know what's hilarious to me? Like Oprah was like the woman of women at one point. Like if Oprah said it, it was the thing to do. But the trend of her and Stedman's relationship never took off. And I was like, every trend but that one. Like when I say Oprah literally had a show that said, this is the shit that I like, y'all go buy it every year. And that shit would sell out the roof. Like companies were coming to her to get put on this list because they wanted their brand to be marketed to her audience, because they know if Oprah said do it, this is what women are going to do. This is what people are going to do. Oprah was in a relationship with Stedman for, I don't even know how long, like as far as I can remember, multiple, like 20, 30 years, never got married. No one ever wanted to jump on that bandwagon. They were like, oh, Oprah, you on your own with this bullshit here. Like, I was with it though. I was like, shit, Oprah, I'm with you. Like, you got way too much to lose at this point. Like, and again, we have to start for real, looking at things for what they are. Financial does matter. Financials do come into play in relationships.
The new world, this is
the play. Debt come into play in relationships.
See what I'm saying?
People take that shit lightly. You want to just marry somebody to say that you marry them, but this motherfucker got $80,000 in student loans. He's got $20,000, $15,000 in child support debt, and his house got this. Guess whose that is now when you sign and says Mrs. David Smith or whatever his name is? That's now yours. And people just are so quick to say, well, I want to be married and I want to have it's way too much to take into consideration to just jump into these relationships. And I think Oprah did it smart. I think that's one thing she did very smart. I'm not an Oprah fan. I'm not. But as a woman that was coming up in her career, I think that was probably one of the smartest moves she made. I think, because of course everyone wanted to see this woman with a husband. Oh, she has to have a husband and blah, blah, blah. Oprah said, man, F y'all. I got way too much to lose for this dude to come in here. And no, please believe, if they got a divorce, Stedman was going to get like.
And that's what I mean by we have to reevaluate modern relationships. Oprah represents on a bigger scale, the modern woman of a career-driven woman. You understand? Who is building up her resources and assets, who does run the risk of dating down and losing those assets to someone who she dated down to now in the modern world. That's the backside of equality. You face the same shit that men face traditionally. So that's the new modern world. As women begin to have their own resources, their own assets, and build their own empires, how do we navigate all of this shit now? We're really on an even playing field, so we have to reevaluate all of this shit. Like dating is new now. You have men telling y'all Dutch. Like we play about it. Like I'm an older dude, so me being in my 40s now, of course, no 40-year-old woman is gonna allow me to Dutch her. None.
Dutcher is my new term, not Dutcher.
However, I am a proponent of my sons them investigating that lifestyle. So with that being said, it's because I teach my son, she makes her money just like you make
Mm-hmm.
yours.
Mm-hmm.
She has the same opportunity in life that you are allotted, son.
But
Y'all
here's the
are
problem with
equals.
that, though. You're in your son's life. You and your kid's mother, regardless of the relationship, you're in their life together, and so it's going to turn into a do as I. It's not going to really. It's harder to do a do as I say, not as I do thing. He's going to see you not like, oh, dad ain't make moms go Dutch or whatever or whomever. You know what I'm saying? Dad didn't do Dutch. Why I got to do Dutch? Like, I mean, I want to treat a lady nice. He got lady.
But I have the type of sons that say what's on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Me and my sons can have conversations. So they will ask me, Dad, but why mom ain't going Dutch? Because that's your mother. That's your mother.
Absolutely.
That's your mother. You understand? But they go back to this is modern times. It's just a whole different wave now. Like young men are starting to see women truly as equals. You know, despite what y'all don't want to. What you mean? We work in the same profession. Mm-hmm. We make almost the same money, pretty much the same money. So everything now is going back to how women have upgraded their lifestyle. So you have to reevaluate how dating goes now. And titles, marriage, all of that fall under the same umbrella now. Because women now, because they have something to lose now, with a little bit lose as far as their financials and all of that. Now they're looking at, they looking at men different now. Like situationships working perfectly for them right now.
Staying together much longer, been in these 10, 12-year relationships, being married, being just boyfriend and girlfriend, just cohabitating, living together or whatever. It's just, I'm not opposed to titles and relationships because who doesn't want to have someone that they can call their own, but it doesn't move me one way or the other. And I get what most women are like, no, I need more than I need him to say. And I think what basically is saying, I need him to say that I mean something to him, that he wants me for, what you got? I see the face.
Andre said, but if Stedman was the billionaire, he would have been facing pressure from the world to marry Oprah.
I don't know, because like George Clooney stayed single for many years. George Clooney was George Clooney, and not a billionaire, but George Clooney did very well for himself. No one really cares. He could be this because men. No. Here's the thing: men can be a billionaire bachelor. It's very rare that you want to see a woman be a billionaire bachelorette. Like that's just not. No, that doesn't work for us. You can definitely have this life of the billionaire bachelor just doing his thing and just living life. That doesn't pretty much work the same.
But can he be a billionaire bachelor in a long-term relationship? Like we're taking profiles, like the profile that Oprah has, transpose that profile into a black billionaire entertainer, and he has long-time girlfriend
for 30 years.
He can't go on The View ever. He can't never go on The View. He can't never go on The View and promote nothing because they're going. When you gonna marry her?
Why you ain't marry her? First of all, her mom and them coming in somewhere around year 5. Like
he can't.
What's doing, my child?
He can't do nothing but late night shows. He can't do nothing in the morning. Nothing.
Craig Kilborn, and that's it. Like not
that's
even.
It. Yeah, man. But it's a different kind of pressure though when you're a man in a long-term relationship because
typically in the relationship where we are in a relationship ultimately. Like it is what it is. Women have already determined well before you guys ask or say whatever it is that this is what they want to do. Let me explain to you. If things are going well, by date 4, we already have the wedding like whole scheme picked out.
Yeah, I tell men that. I preach that.
We know who's going to be in the wedding. We know what colors we're wearing. We know the venue. We have all that. And this is literally date 4. Like I'm talking literally like 2-3 weeks in. Like, yeah. So it's not as much for us to literally just be, we're literally, like I said, we're the chosen. You guys are the choosers. We're waiting to be chosen. We're waiting for you to say, pick me. Say, no, we're waiting for you to say, I pick you. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of what it is. So it's really the ball's in you guys' court. And then we complain. And then that's when you guys are like, all right, we're fine. You know, I remember. And then that's when we get into these situations.
I was working with a young man and I explained that to him. He was straight out of college. Mm-hmm. This was one of his first jobs. We was just talking or whatever. And Girlfriend went to the same college. They moved back to Jacksonville, whatever, whatnot. So before they moved back here, they decided to get their own place. So about 6 months into their relationship or so, it's let's get a place together. So he said no at first. Guess what she did? Well, I see you don't want to take this to the next level. How about we just go our own way?
It's either all or nothing. It's either all this or that, right?
He didn't see it. I was like, bro, she pretty much gave you an ultimatum and you fell for it. You fell for it. And he was like, no, she was right. No, she wasn't right. You were right with how you was living your life before, however you felt comfortable.
Again, we're ready 99% of 90. I'll say I'll be nice, play nice. 95% of the times we're ready way before you guys are ready. Like
that's the test, but that was the test run for him. That was the test run. Oh, okay, he done moved in now. Guess what's next? He probably married by now.
You gotta put that ring on it, because
the same method doesn't work now because people become habits the more you're around them. So it becomes harder to break certain habits after a while. So he used to having her around. So now it comes down to, hey, you can go ahead and marry me or I'm leaving. Well, shit, who gonna find my socks now when I can't find my other shoe and all this little small shit that he's thinking about that's so insignificant. So
pressure, I think, again, a lot of relationships are not natural anymore. There is pressure from someone, whether it be an outside force, one of the two parties. It's just pressure. It doesn't. A lot of these relationships just don't seem natural and organic. I watched this couple on I want to say YouTube, and it was so dope. Like they were literally like just dating, and they went from dating to married like in one day. He was like, it was dope to me because he was like, shit, I know what it is. It's no point in playing this game. I know what it is. I'm not going to drag it along. If he knew that's what it was. Again, it's no point in, now they dated for a couple months or a year or so. If you know that's what it is, why drag it along and play the whole whatever game? Just do whatever works for you. If it feels good, if it feels organic, if you know this is what you want, why do the dating thing? Why do the whole, I got to test run it? And if it feels good, it feels good. Fuck it. Like marriage is nowadays, you can get out of it like that. Like shit. Like you can literally do a drive-by divorce. So what's the benefit of marriage? If other than financial shit, what's the benefit of being married? Other than saying that when you die, I'm gonna take your shit, or if we divorce, I'm gonna take your shit. What's the benefit of marriage? What is the benefit of having a husband? What is the benefit of saying this is my husband? There is no benefit, literally, to saying this is my husband, other than a financial gain. If he's in a good financial position, because let's be clear, every man ain't in a good financial position.
People think that marriage
is a gain for you.
Yeah, marriage isn't ordained by God. Like it's not that it's a government, it's a system of government to make sure that women and children are taken care of. So with women and children now, I mean not children, but with women being able to take care of themselves as well as their children financially by themselves,
what's the benefit?
What's the benefit of marriage for anybody? I'm talking about for both parties.
There's no benefit. So it's kind of like we're just doing it because we're supposed to. We're told we're supposed to. This is the natural progression. Right. And that's kind of what happens with relationships. But we didn't really tackle much of shit because I guess we were kind of on we were kind of on the same accord today. We were kind of on the same accord as far as titles or I'm not saying it's some bullshit. I'm not, because hey, listen, if you
do what's comfortable for you,
I'm gonna let you call me your boo. If I'm your girl, I'll be your girl. But don't feel like you're pressured to do it. That's all I'm saying. Is don't feel like that. Don't that we're in a relationship just because we've been sleeping together for 6 weeks or 6 months or however long. We don't need to be in a relationship to do that. If that's what's comfortable for us, then just let that be it and keep the outside world out of your shit.
That's the most important thing. Keep people out of your shit. Don't have them pressure you into pressuring somebody else about something that you already happy in.
Absolutely. Whew. Well, this was a good one. Shit, we done ran over today. We done ran over today. These emotions are all over the place. I'm hot. As you see, I'm fanning. I'm 42. Listen, this is a different kind of I got a situationship to go cook for. Ow! It's like, now we'll see you back next week. Illogically speaking, your girl Jossie, Big G, out. Peace. Whew.